and Innovation Director, Dana Persley. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Alexandra.
Thanks so much, Christy, and good afternoon, everyone. We really continue to feel confident we'll be able to bring students back to campus for the spring semester. As you're aware, the external environment is hard right now, changing rapidly, but we do feel like the fall semester showed us that we've been able to create a safe and healthy residential experience. With that, we will remain agile. We don't know what state the country or world will be in January and February, but we're committed to bringing students back to campus and doing so in a way that maintains the high quality of the educational experience and allows for an active and enjoyable campus life experience for students. We are focusing right now in our planning on creating a residential experience that allows for safe socializing on campus and more in-person classes than we had in the fall. To support those goals, though, we, of course, need to establish on the way in and as students are coming back, a safe and as much of a contained campus environment as we can, much like we did in the fall, but with a few changes. The things that will remain the same are we'll continue to have students studying both on campus and remotely. For those on campus, masks and distancing requirements, those will remain in place. Classrooms and all on-campus gathering spaces, those will be continue to be configured to accommodate social distancing and safe interactions. And we'll continue to conduct weekly signal testing as we did in the fall semester. Dustin will share more about that. We will continue to have space available on campus for quarantine and for isolation. Some things will be different, mostly because of changes we'll make as a result of feedback from students or because of the changing COVID landscape. Some of the changes and updates include testing. So we're going to make some changes with regard to testing. We'll have mostly the same baseline protocol, but we're going to layer in testing upon arrival back to campus. We'll test every student during move-in, and Dustin Brentlinger will speak more about that. Isolation requirements will remain the same, but we obviously are paying careful attention to evolving CDC guidance about quarantine duration, and we're working with our public health partners and experts to determine the applicability of the new guidelines to our campus practices. We'll provide more clarity up front on social life guidelines, and we're looking to move as quickly as we can to allowing in-room types of opportunities for students to socialize with one another in residential spaces as much as possible, like the types of interactions we want our students to have as part of their college experience. We'll also provide some additional clarity on outcomes resulting from violations of the community care agreement in January. Not all courses will have a remote option this term. That is one difference for the spring that's really important to flag. In the fall, all of our academic offerings kind of could toggle from being an in-person mode to being in virtual mode. That won't be the case this spring, although there will still be a selection of courses that will be offered remotely for students who are wishing to remain remote. And I really encourage everyone to participate live or be sure to listen to the recording of this Friday's information that's being held specifically to address the academic experience and to hear from Provost Copeland and other colleagues about the way courses are being configured for different types of arrangements. That'll be important, and that's this Friday. One of the questions we've received is about the COVID-19 vaccine and whether or not we will require it. We are in very regular communications with our county health department, which will be the point of distribution for vaccines for our campus. Denison's community care agreement, it does require students to agree to get the vaccine on campus if it becomes available and if the university determines that this is in the interests of public health. At this time, we don't have enough details from the Department of Health on when a vaccine might be available for our population. If it does become available, we will engage our public health and epidemiological and medical partners and experts in developing a plan for our campus, including whether or not we would make the vaccine required. Obviously, we're very attuned to issues about the safety of the vaccine and medical advice, and we will continue to be guided on those decisions by our medical and scientific experts. For now, I will turn it over to our colleague, Dustin Brentlinger, to share some further specifics about our health plans for return to campus.
Thank you, Alexandra. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, depending on where you're viewing from. We had a really great first semester. I just want to thank everyone for all the hard work that they did in helping protect the health of our community. We also learned a lot from our first semester, and so we're going to use a combination of the things that we did right and the things that we learned that we can do better on. And so the first thing that I want to make sure everyone commits to is quarantining 14 days prior to arrival again. We feel like this was a really great strategy to help us reduce as much infection that was brought to campus. So at the beginning, students are coming in at different times during the spring semester. And so you should be getting information from housing, asking you to sign up for a date and time that you'll be arriving on campus. 14 days prior to the date and time that you indicate that you're going to be arriving on campus, we'll turn on your symptom check badge again. Exact same process where we'll ask you to fill that out once a day. Just tell us what your symptoms are. We'll reach out to students that may be having difficulty and check to see what we can do to be helpful. Along with that, quarantining for 14 days, something new that we're going to do for the spring semester is, as Alexander alluded to, what we're calling arrival testing. And so we're going to test all students within the first 24 hours that they arrive on campus. This is again going to help us determine kind of what the baseline is and reduce the number of infections that might be brought to campus. It's going to give us a good baseline that will help the university then determine what are the next steps in order to have a successful campus community. During that, as soon as you do your arrival testing, we're going to ask students to limit their social interaction on campus until they actually receive their results. And we'll again partner with OSU in order to do this test. OSU has been proven to be a great partner. They're highly accurate. They've been getting our results in very quickly, as early as 10 hours after we've actually tested in some cases. So we're going to partner with them again in order to create that baseline as quickly as we can. So the two things I would really stress for students to think about doing is really concentrating on that 14-day quarantine before arriving, and then take as much, or expose yourself to it while you're traveling. Avoid any kind of exposure that you can. So make sure you're wearing a face mask, make sure you're washing your hands, avoiding any kind of large crowds as much as you can. We understand that students won't be able to completely avoid that, but as many things that you can do to avoid any kind of exposure would be great. That's going to help us create a low baseline, which helps things open up sooner. Some of the other things that we'll be doing again next semester are around isolation and quarantine. We were very successful with isolation and quarantining, and we learned a lot. And so we put a lot of things into place in order to make those a better experience. Alexandra alluded to some of the changes at the CDC level around quarantine. And those changes have to do with the amount of time that you have to quarantine and how testing can remove someone from quarantine a little bit earlier. And so we're working right now with the Licking County Health Department to finalize a strategy for making sure that we reduce the quarantine period down to as low as we can, while at the same time protecting our community from COVID-19. We will continue the symptom checking, like I said. We have improved that experience a little bit. I know students sometimes had trouble getting into it, and so we've made some IT changes already in order to make it easier and quicker for you to access that. We will continue to do contact tracing on campus. We have a very quick contact tracing process. Across Ohio right now, the average person is contacted 7 days after being tested. Ours is within hours that we can contact students and get them either quarantined or into isolation. And so we'll continue to do that. We have changed some of the process around that relative to technology in order to help us not play this telephone game where we're calling the student and they're calling us back and so forth. So we've made some changes in that area. Um, Finally, I just want to make sure that I address some questions that have been asked. The first question is about getting test kits at home. If you ordered a vault test and are having any kind of trouble with getting access to it, please just get a hold of us at the Wellness Center. We are still answering our phones, and we can help make sure that you get access to that vault test. Unfortunately, we do not have any more of those tests to send home to students. And actually, I would recommend that if you're feeling any kind of symptoms around COVID or you're concerned about exposure, that at this point in time, this late in the game, that you actually contact your local healthcare system. If you turn COVID positive, you want to be within the healthcare system that you reside in. They'll be able to directly follow up with you and provide better direct care than what we would be able to do from Granville. Just want to, again, thank everyone for a great fall semester. I think because we are such a great community, we were able to keep our exposure low and have a really successful semester. I think we will have an even better experience in the spring. But like Christy and Alexander kind of alluded to, it is an evolving situation. We want our team to be agile. We always want to be working with the best tools and do the best that we can to keep our students safe, our staff, our faculty safe. And so as information changes or things have to change, we'll make sure that we inform you on it. But can't wait to see you next semester. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex Miller, VP of Student Development. It is so good to hear and see you all this afternoon on this town hall. Before I start with a few updates, I'd just like to take a few moments to speak to our students and to congratulate all of you. And this was echoed in the note I sent to our students on November 13th of just a moment of thanks and congratulations to our students. You have proven to be strong, patient, courageous leaders that we knew you could be, and we ended the fall semester very strong. And so we want to say thank you for that. We accomplished a lot this semester, and we are looking forward to carrying that forward in the spring. I feel proud to be a new Denisonian and to be able to work on behalf of all of you great students. And so I hope that as we shift to talk about the spring, that you are excited to return to campus and or remotely, whatever your choice or opportunity will be, but that you will be connected with us beginning in the spring. There are just a few social life, residential life updates that myself and other colleagues want to provide some updates on. But I want to just start back with our guiding principle that we have always been committed to creating an environment where students felt that they were healthy and safe, and we had a vibrant campus community. If you think back to our fall town halls that we had this summer, we want to carry forth that same sentiment for the spring. All the plans that you've heard about or are going to hear about today and in the months ahead are driven by this principle, and as others have said, are also open to be able to switch or adapt where needed. And so thank you in advance for your patience. Thank you in advance for your adaptability on that front. We want our community to remain healthy, and we want students to enjoy their experiences on campus. And as we learned in the fall, our ability to provide a safe on-campus experience required the shared responsibility of not only our faculty and staff, but also our students. And so we have made choices that are aligned with that. We thank our students for doing the same. One of the things that we want to also thank our students for is their commitment to our community care agreement, that we believe that besides a little bit of luck, our ability to remain relatively healthy was largely due to our students' commitment to living out our community care agreement each and every day. So again, thank you for that. We believe that students who will return in the spring will be just as excited to carry that community care agreement forward, and we will be asking you all to sign that agreement again. It will not be too different from the fall's version of the community care agreement. It will address any updates that we might see necessary depending on the evolving landscape, but we will ask you to sign that upon your return. As Dustin mentioned, the mass testing that we're going to do at the start of the term will allow us to hopefully be able to open up social guidelines in ways that we probably were not able to do in the fall. We will keep you updated on that, but we do hope that that will be possible to create this vibrant life that many of our colleagues have spoken about today. We will also be finding ways to engage our students in understanding their fall semester and also helping our planning for the spring. So I wanted to take a quick moment to give you all an update or an announcement around our upcoming Pulse survey. If you have not received an invitation to complete that, please contact student development as soon as possible. This Pulse survey will give us a lot of helpful data in figuring out what our plan should be for the spring along all the different markers in which we've shared today. So please take the moment to provide that. We will also be planning more on-campus events. And I know my colleague Dana will be speaking more about that here in a few, but we do hope that we'll be able to maintain social distancing and follow all COVID guidelines, and we will plan to do those in the spring as well. We've heard from students, or we continue to hear from students, that there needs to be a plan for reducing burnout with the removal of a typical spring break. And so myself and other colleagues are thinking about that at this moment, and we do want to pay attention to our students' mental health. And so we are thinking about that as a team. We're looking into incorporating break days into the schedule, and we're working on that now. So I would encourage you all, as others have already on this town hall, to tune in on Friday for our recording with our provost office. Provost Copeland will be providing more information on that. I also want to speak a little bit about our community care agreement and our community care violations. We've heard from students about the need for further clarity around violations of the community care agreement. And so our plan is to take the feedback from our students in our Pulse survey, feedback from our colleagues on campus, and in our upcoming town halls, we do hope to provide more clarity around community care agreement violations. So please stay tuned for that. So before I close and before I hand it to my colleague, Carrie Mang from Housing, I again just want to say thank you all. As a new VP here at Denison, I never would have imagined starting this job remotely, but I do think that you all have been great partners on this journey. And I look forward to welcoming you all in the spring. Take it away, Carrie.
Thanks, Dr. Miller. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are right now. Thanks for joining us today. And thank you for a very smooth move out process in November. Things went very, very well, and we are very appreciative of that. And thanks also for giving us your best estimate at what your plans will be for spring of 2021. As Alexandra said in the beginning of this call, things are ever changing, and in line with that, we are prepared to have another declaration period for any changes. So that will happen January 4th through January 11th. And if nothing has changed, nothing needs to change. You won't have to do that form at all. But if things have changed for you and you need to come to campus or do remote learning, that will be an opportunity for you to declare that with us so that we can get things adjusted for you. So again, January 4th to January 11th to redeclare if anything has changed. If you are returning to campus in spring 2021, now is the time to book your move-in appointment, and you can do this through your My Housing portal. That needs to be booked by January 13th at noon Eastern time, and move-in is Thursday, January 28th and Friday, January 29th. And that is during daytime hours in the Eastern time zone. So you'll want to arrange your travel accordingly. And just like Dustin said, we will be doing point of entry testing. That's why we have those finite time periods so that we can get everyone in while we have our testing teams here to do that really important work as we welcome you back. Appointments in your My Housing portal are shown in your local time, so be sure to adjust for the time change when you come to Eastern time. Just like fall, we will have a one-stop shop for moving in. It won't be quite the same robust outdoor traffic flow, but we will be doing move-in at the Mitchell Center, and we'll take care of everything from keys to IDs to point of entry testing at that one location. So if you're coming by Uber or you're coming by your own vehicle, you will just come to the Mitchell Center during your arrival time block. The other entrances of campus won't be available, so make sure you use that Pearl Street East Gate entrance. Just like fall, again, your move-in helpers are limited to 2 people in addition to you, and a total of 2 hours getting all moved in and settled. That might mean you pack a little lighter than you might in other years, and we appreciate you working hard to make that happen. Some of you have been approved for early arrivals based on an athletic team that you're a part of or a different program that you're a part of, and you will see that in your My Housing portal when you book a time slot. We are unable to approve any other early arrivals as we work to preserve that on-campus bubble that is so important to all of us having a great spring. On the day of your arrival, you'll get a reminder via email about where to go and what to do. So if this is all going very fast for you right now, no worries. You will get more information as it comes. And as usual, we will have staff available to troubleshoot all the things that might go a little pear-shaped on a move-in day. We will be prepared for you, we promise. So the main things to remember, you can change your plans for spring, January 4th through January 11th. And you must book a move-in time slot if you're coming back by January 13th. Now, Dana and I have been working together on what spring looks like in terms of programming, so I'm going to call her into the conversation to tell you more about that.
Great. Thank you so much, Carrie. Appreciate it. So as Alex mentioned, we're really thinking about how we can provide as normal of an environment as possible this spring, while also making sure that we're protecting our community and keeping our students, our faculty, and our staff safe. So this is ever changing based on a lot of different factors, but this is what we know now and what we can share with you today. There's going to be an initial 2-week window, just like last semester, where we are going to limit social gatherings on campus. In that 2 weeks, we will have university-sponsored events during that time. These events will include virtual, hybrid, and in-person opportunities. So CLIC, UPC, and our residential community staff are continuing to focus on how we can provide engaging weekend late-night programs during both move-in weekend as well as those following 2 weeks. So we've got a great lineup. It's going to include virtual trivia, bingo, food trucks, take and make, arts and crafts that you can pick up and do in your room, pop-up events that will be a surprise, a number of different culturally relevant events, including programs for Black History Month, meal kits, think of like HelloFresh, pick it up, cook it in your room, First Year Fridays, where we're going to have programming specifically for our first year students, and different Denison swag giveaways. So lots of events coming your way, so stay tuned. After those 2 weeks, students will be permitted to have other Denison students in their room, as was permitted last semester based on your room size. Students will also be permitted to make sure that they can register for parties and social beyond that first 2 weeks. Campus organizations will be permitted to host in-person meetings and events, but of course we ask you to do that in consultation with CLIC so we can help you make it happen. All events have to adhere to our safety guidelines like mask wearing, distancing, and those capacity limits. Many of you are probably wondering, what about those spring Denison events and traditions that I always look forward to, or for our first years haven't had a chance to experience yet? Those will continue. We're excited to share that we'll do UPC's annual Winter Fest on February 12th. We're gonna have lots of fun winter related activities, including a ice skating rink on campus for a couple days. Other events like Estivalia, Culture Jam, Doobie-Palooza, and Senior Week will also continue. While they may look different, we're going to be committed to providing these experiences in a safe and memorable way. We're working on making more indoor spaces available for student use as well, recognizing that the outdoors will just not be the same option they were for us in the fall, but hopefully looking towards the spring, we'll be able to get outside some more. Students and campus organizations will be able to reserve a number of spaces, including the Bandersnatch, Higley Auditorium, Moon Hall, Slater third floor, Slater Auditorium, the Shepherdson College Room. If you want to be outside with those heaters, Slater Tent, and residential community spaces such as the Curtis Den and the Silverstein Gathering Space. We're asking students and orgs to reserve these spaces on weekdays after 5:30 p.m. and anytime on the weekends. One exciting thing that we had this fall semester that maybe wasn't as popular in the past were our fire pits. We had over 70 fire pit reservations, which allowed students to gather outside and be in community. CLIC will continue to work with students and campus safety to support the use of these multiple fire pits on campus. So grab a few friends, a coat, some gloves, some more supplies, and get outside with your friends. We'll continue to have university-sponsored events just like the fall, and we'll continue to work with students on their ideas. Both the CLIC event co-sponsorship event grant will be available, as well as the Student Development Collaboration and Innovation Fund. So these will be made available for you if you have this wonderful idea that you want to implement but might need the financial support to make that happen. If you have a great idea or something you want to see on campus that you think could be done within this unique semester, please reach out to me, reach out to CLIC so we can collaborate and make your idea a reality. And as a friendly reminder, Click sends out the What to Do email on Mondays and Fridays, highlighting all the upcoming events and programs that are happening on campus. Additionally, I encourage you to check out our Instagram, Denison Click, so you can find out about those pop-up events when they happen and new experiences. So one aspect of our community that many people are highly anticipating this spring is recruitment and intake for our fraternities and sororities. Denison's community includes 21 organizations, and approximately 34% of our students are affiliated one of these. Our fraternities and sororities are value-based and culturally based organizations that provide a support network and a community, opportunities for your personal and professional growth, social experiences, and leadership development. So within our 21 organizations, they are governed by 4 different councils, which include the National Panhellenic Council Incorporated, or NPHC, represents our 5 historically African American fraternities and sororities. Our Multicultural Greek Council, MGC, serves as the umbrella organization to our 5 multicultural fraternities and sororities. Panhellenic Council, or PANHEL, which oversees our 5 women's organizations, and Interfraternity Council, or IFC, which represents our 6 men's organizations. Denison has deferred recruitment and intake in order to allow our first-year students to really explore your academic interest and involvement opportunities this past fall. As a reminder, all organizations require a minimum of 2.5 cumulative GPA and 12 earned credit hours to be considered for membership. For our NPHC and MGC organizations, they will host information sessions in the spring to talk to you about their new member intake process for those students who might be interested. For IFC and Panhellenic, recruitment will begin in February. Recruitment will be done in a hybrid model. So we're going to have virtual opportunities for potential new members, as well as small group in-person activities. Think of some of the ways that you engage with your all-go groups this fall. While fraternity and sorority experience is an interest to some students, we recognize that it is just one of many options that are available for students to engage in activities that align with your individual values, your interests, your goals, and your aspirations while at Denison. So the array of our 160 plus campus organizations will be highlighted this spring with an in-person involvement fair in mid-February. We recognize that doing an in-person involvement fair in the fall was really risky, and we didn't want to run that risk, but we are looking forward to being able to take what our colleagues have done at other institutions and plan a really great in-person experience for our students to get engaged with our organizations. I also want to share that many of our students have reached out to Click with interest of giving back and asking, what can we do with this semester, and how can we help those within our Denison community, as well as those who might be impacted by COVID. So I want to make sure that I lift up that Click will continue to provide service opportunities such as our service Saturdays, virtual mentoring and tutoring, and after-school programs, Big Brothers, Big Sisters. We have on-campus service projects that we've done this fall and will continue this spring. Food recovery, where we're recovering food from the dining halls and repurposing it for our community members, and then drives to support different greatest needs, such as food products or hygiene. Finally, I know a lot of folks have asked about off-campus travel. It's been a hot topic, right? Lots of big questions about it. So just want to remind you, after that initial testing phase, and if our community viral health is strong, we will consider and permit that local travel to Granville, Newark, and Heath to pick up those necessities and maybe grab some food to go and carry out. Other off-campus travel will not be permitted during that time. And so just again, to be flexible and agile, and if we feel that it's safe to do so and remove those restrictions, we'll consider expanding travel options. Extended off-campus travel will be limited to that essential travel. And again, our goal is to create as much of a bubble on campus as possible to keep you all safe. So like Alex said, thank you for a great first semester at Denison. It's not how I imagine it, but again, I wouldn't have wanted it any other way to be a part of this community. So thank you. And we're really excited to have you back on the Hill and continue that vibrant social life.
Thank you so much, Dana. Actually, thank you everyone for your time this afternoon, both all of our leaders who presented and all of you who are joining us. As always, we'll make this available on our Reopen website and on YouTube for anybody to watch later. And, I just want to say this is the start of a conversation. We'll have more of these sessions, including as early as this Friday at 3 p.m. for the classroom experience and academic life information session, but continuing into January. I want to remind you again, you can always visit reopen.denison.edu for information. You can email us at reopen@denison.edu with your questions. And we just look forward to the next few weeks of keeping you updated and informed, and most importantly, to starting the spring semester strong in February. And we look forward to seeing you on the Hill or via Zoom or the other ways that we will engage together in the spring semester. Take care, and we'll talk soon.